Let's take a look at the pivot point trading diamond and dot setup. I've been experimenting with different time frames and additional candlesticks. Keep getting emails about it, so I'll go over it real quick. If you have questions on that or the special offer this weekend, info@proptradingindicators.com. Pivot point style just mainly means, trading from these pivots back and forth, these crisp changes in momentum and price. So after the 8:32 time period U.S. Central Time, I don't look for stuff the first 2 minutes of the open. You can see we have a diamond and then a dot with a nice slant to it. That was an initial short. If a person for some reason wanted to be long, there was a diamond and dot long. It pretty much ran up, stalled out, had another diamond and dot, and down we go. That should have been pretty much done for the day on 3 trades. Now, when I've seen a market trade off like that in the after-hours session, we come into the open, I'm not all that excited to be a buyer right away out of the open, especially if there's some initial selling that's breaking below recent morning support. I would prefer to see price go to some sort of key level before I'm willing to just jump in and be a buyer. Now, we did have some buying that kind of accumulated throughout the day yesterday, right in this area price in the morning. So I would not at all want to really consider being a buyer until I see that market do a level sweep or levels test. We had pretty strong selling, leading up out of the evening reopen through the Asian session and through the EU session. There was no buyers bringing the market back up. And we did have a prominent pivot low area from the prior day and yesterday. Let's take a look at this real quick. So these are kind of the areas where you'd say, okay, if a market that's been selling in the after hours session and then is getting, sold out of the open right away after a very light amount of lift, then, why are you in here buying? You know what I'm saying? You got to have some context. And then the market has it's almost been like a cash out day. It came into the open, not really any buying interest, and it's been down we go. Even a rebound later in the day, they've been sold into. So that is pretty much the trade day today for Friday. That's the diamond and dots chart setup. We use the adaptive trend cloud indicator matched up with the PPG1 for those that want to do manual trading of the diamond and dots setup. Okay, out of the open today on the automated, it got flipped around a little bit, but then caught the nice down move. So that worked out. Let's go take a look at that chart real quick. I think I had 2 losers, a scratch trade, and then a big winner to get daily goal done. So it took a while. And, the market did have a pretty big move in the after-hours session. It sat a bit range-bound pre-open and through the open and then broke down and just started selling. So was able to get done, but took a lot more trades than normal. But I don't care. As long as I get that one move, which pretty much happens most all the time in the NASDAQ, that had me done on the day. Now, we are getting into lower participation next week, where the participation from the institutional side and the hedge fund side could diminish rapidly and even more day after day after day, unless there's big significant moves taking out, key support levels if we suddenly go into the end of the year where everybody's cashing stuff out. So we'll see what happens next week. And then the week between Christmas and New Year, I never do any automated trading that week. The only time, at least not out of the open, the only time I ever do any trading is if I see the market at a key 4-hour chart level, then I'll turn on automation for the market's reaction to that price level. That's about the only time I trade automated. Then I'll resume automated trading back into the beginning of the next year, for the first full trade week into 2026. So pivot point trading, you can do it manual or automated. The programmer is running a special offer this weekend for access, and you can see that at proptradingindicators.com. If you have questions, just shoot an email to info@proptradingindicators.com. Algo IQ program on the mom strat had a few oscillations also out of the open, but you did catch the down move. So a long flip to a short, a sequential short, back to long, and then one more short should have had you done. So overall, not bad, considering we're a little bit range bound pre-open after selling. No buyers were willing to come into the market, and the market's just bled off ever since. Okay, there's another style of setup that I'm working on, and I'll post up settings later. But I'm taking a look at these little patterns here where we're getting extensions above the fast bands and then rotation down with the fast bands rotating down. So in this case, any sort of kickback against a downtrend, the main bands are down, price is above the mid band area, and I'm getting these little extensions above the fast bands, and then the candlestick rotates down. So it's like one up and then one down in conjunction with rotation of the fast bands. I'm playing with the Unirenko, the Ninja Renko, the live wire, and eventually I'll test it with the Renko BXT and come up with a really dialed setup. I'll probably shoot a video on this later today. It's going to be a specific setup that I'm going to look at, kind of taking this and then building a standalone setup, for basically this pivot point approach where you're trading with symmetrical Renkos, catching the pivots of price, or price pivots from upside momentum to downside momentum, pivots, but then optimizing the area of price where you'd be a buyer or a seller. Especially, like here I'm getting these little extensions above the fast bands. We happen to be above the main bands in that area, and then rotation. You can see the fast bands rotate down. I might build a trade setup that I'll call the river. So it's going to be the river trade. And it's kind of given me some ideas. I've been watching these and just hitting some of these manually while trading, and kind of finding out what time frame I like best. The look of the candlestick I like isn't this one. I'll shoot a specific video on it, but I'm going to call it the river trade. And it's kind of like, when you get a bend in the river and you get a certain candlestick pattern, you have basically a trade set up that I could have some sort of signal on. And I really like them because they're easy to see and easy to take advantage of for somebody that's trading manual, or if somebody has third-party tools, they could use the output of the official setup of the river trade. And I'm going to shoot a specific video on it where I actually have the candlestick look that I like best and kind of how I'm going to have the overall trade set up. It's something I've been looking at now for about, 7-8 days, and I'm getting really close to the point where I like the visual of it. I don't actually have it on this laptop. I have it on a desktop PC, but I'll shoot a video on it, and I'll post that later in the day today. And it'll kind of be a heads up on another trade setup that I'm working on that a trader could take advantage of. So there you have it. If you have any questions on anything, info@proptradingindicators.com. And you guys have a fantastic weekend. But yeah, I'll shoot a video on the river setup later today. On the, I'll get the setup duplicated that I have on one of my desktop PCs over here to this laptop. The look of everything. I'll shoot a specific video with settings included, and something you can look at over the weekend, and then possibly take a crack at it into next week's trading as another method of trading pivot point style with symmetrical Renkos. So there you have it. Have a fantastic day, and talk to you later.